morning, Kagglers. Nope, I still can't say good morning. Every time I'm like, it's a morning. It's not. For many of you, it's different times of day. So, hello, Kagglers, I think also works. Welcome to Live Coding. We've been working on this project for a while now, but if you're just joining for the first time, no worries. I'll get you all up to speed. Welcome. Today, we're going to work on expanding what we did last week and also what I did a little bit off camera this week. Generally, I try not to work on my live coding projects off camera, but this is something I'm doing for work, and I do want it to be done. So, I can walk through what we've got so far, and then talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing today. So this is a project that I've been working on for a while, and the point of the project is that I want to take all the information that comes in every day. Hi, Sina. No, it looks like there's a couple of folks. We just started. Generally, people tend to trickle in. Okay, so every day there are lots of posts on the Kaggle forums, and it really varies how many day to day. And I, up until now, have been reading all of them with my human eyes. And that doesn't scale well. And, yeah, it's not in this. This was written yesterday, so the version of MetaKaggle has updated, so this one is no longer the current one. But if you look at MetaKaggle and the number of forum posts per day, you'll see that it is growing exponentially. A lot of forum posts. And I want a way to more quickly get and synthesize that information and also share it with my teammates a little bit more easily. So this project is to do that, basically. And the first step has been to, hi Tree and Shivanand? Oh, sorry if I messed that up. To basically automate the job that I do, which is reading all the posts and being like, oh, here's what people are talking about. And let's actually look at what we've done so far. That means nothing. There we go. It's going to take a minute because I'm writing this data set on MetaKaggle, and MetaKaggle is updated every day. The old version is removed, and the new version is added. Hi, Citro. Welcome back. Tap, 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 tap. So this is going to take a teeny bit to start. But what we've done so far is we've done a couple of things. So the first big thing that we looked at was keyword extraction. And this is a way of, in an unsupervised way, finding the most important content words from a post and saving those out. And we also did a little bit of fine-tuning of the word-to-vec embeddings using Kaggle's data. So that adds additional vocabulary items that you would see on Kaggle. And also, we know that, for example, on Kaggle, you're probably going to talk about BERT in the context of ExcelNet and not, well, okay, Ernie also is a model, and not Sesame Street specifically. Hey, Ariane and Shankar, welcome. So the idea after that, and we did our embeddings, and then we're doing the very simplest way of doing document embeddings. We're taking the embedding for each word and we're just averaging across. So we have a post or like document embedding that's the same length of each of our word embeddings. And then we've been using that and putting it into spectral clustering, which is a clustering algorithm that can handle non-contiguous decision spaces. We talked about this a little bit last week. You can go out and watch that. And also does not assume a certain degree of, homoscedasticity of the data points in whatever your region is. So, Stas says, does this have anything to do with any scientific paper? I think a lot of these methods were proposed in papers. Spectral clustering, I'm pretty sure was Yake, might have been. I think it was more of a system demo where that was first done. But yeah, mostly it's just me doing practical work that I need to do for my job and using different methods for it. So since last time, I have done a little bit of extra stuff. So let's get, actually, I just want to run all. Stop. Oh, I'm double clicking and not single clicking. There we go. So I just want to run everything because it's going to take a second. So I've done a couple of new things. So this is all the same. We are importing our libraries. We're reading in our data. We're reading in our vectors that we tuned earlier using Kaggle specific data. We're removing the numeric index so we can index into these by the word itself. Arian said, is word embedding concatenation plus dimensionality reduction better than word embedding averaging? I don't know. We haven't tried that. For this problem, who knows? Probably the next thing that I want to try is instead of using word-to-vec vectors, using universal sentence embeddings, which is a document embedding technique. We read that paper in the reading group. But my worry is that it's not going to be able to handle words that are out of vocabulary for the training data set, so it's not going to include a lot of Kaggle-specific vocabulary. So my gut instinct is that this with the tuned vectors might work better. And Semi Chan says, what prompted you to choose hierarchical clustering? So the reason I picked hierarchical clustering, well, actually, let's see, is it... So the reason that I've picked hierarchical clustering is if you look at the original clustering that we did, you can see, oh, that wasn't it. I think it was maybe the first version of this one was it. You'll see that we have clusters that are super, super differently have different numbers of things in them. So this one has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 posts in it. This one has a lot of posts. So I think it's a way of being able to have eventual clusters that are a little bit more homogeneous within the cluster. And the other thing is I expect that there's a hierarchical structure to this information in general. First of all, because our forum system, so these are all based on Kaggle forum posts, is hierarchical. So there's forums associated with different competitions, product feedback, Q&A, getting started. There's lots of different forums. And also, I expect things like, I have a bug to be a large topic, but within that, I want to know about individual clusters. Like, I have a bug with my data set. I have a bug with the kernel. I have a bug with something. Or for feature requests, I have a feature request for a data set or a kernel or community forums or whatever. So I expect that there's an existing hierarchical structure that I want to model. Good question. Yeah, Ryan says, if you concatenate the words, you have different dimensions based on how many words are in the post, so that makes dimensionality reduction difficult. Yeah, you're basically going to have to you're going to have to do dimensionality reduction separately on every single one of your sentence lengths. And Zitron says, maybe fast text. Yeah, I think when we looked into it, fast text was harder to tune. I don't know. There was some reason why we went with word2vec over fast text. Okay, so a couple of things that I've done since last time is I did remove all the HTML tags. Originally, I thought they might be useful, but looking at the clusters afterwards, I decided they weren't. This is the only parameter that I am changing by hand, and this is the days of posts that you want to look at. So 1, we'll look at the most recent day, 2, we'll look at the most recent 2 days, 7, we'll look at the most recent week, and so on. And then everything else is based on, everything else that would be a parameter or a hyperparameter is based on the number, this is actually a hyperparameter, is based on the number of posts that were made given your time period selection. That's the idea. A little bit of processing. We're reading in the forum posts. Here we are adding additional information. I don't remember if I did this on camera or not, but here we are having for each post the date that it was made, the message of the post, the topic title, and then the forum title. And this is to make it a little bit easier for me to understand the forum posts once we've done the embedding, instead of looking just at the fast words, the keywords that we've extracted for each forum post. Yeah, I think I might have done this off camera. I don't remember. I've been working on this off and on all week as my fun project when I get tired of other things. And a choice that I made that I might have done on camera was that I expect the number of clusters to be the square root of the number of posts. So if I have 100 posts, I would expect 10 clusters. If I have, 81 posts, I'd expect 9 clusters, with presumably roughly the same number of posts within each of them, under the assumption that, and this is I will admit, this is a pretty strong assumption, so if y'all have feedback on that, I'd appreciate it. The larger a collection of documents you have, the more topics there will be, and the more posts there will be per topic, because you have more total samples. I'm not assuming that the number of posts per topic is going to be homogeneous, but assuming that there's some sort of like latent number of topics that you're interested in modeling that you don't know about and can't know about, and also that posts, okay, so we're not really doing topic modeling. Let's call these clusters. So assuming there's a number of clusters, how can you identify the more, sorry, sip of coffee from my Python mug. So if you have, let's say, 100 underlying clusters and I take 10 samples, I wouldn't expect all of those samples to be from the same cluster. But given the way that sort of like human discourse works, where if one person is talking about something, it's more likely that another person will also talk about that. And also that we're not separately modeling each, like the thread structure of the forum posts, my hypothesis is that the more topics we have, the more posts we have, the more topics should be represented, is the idea. Ryan says, would be interesting to try and build a system that classified which forum a post should go under. Could recommend a different section if it seems like it doesn't belong in that forum. Yes. I think the hardest thing there, I think individual competition forums, fairly straightforward. Specifically trying to disambiguate learn, getting started, and Q&A would be extremely difficult, is my intuition as somebody who reads all the forum posts. Back in the day, I had time to respond to all of the forum posts when there weren't as many and I didn't have as many things to do. All right, and then we are extracting keywords using Yake, which is an unsupervised keyword extraction algorithm. And then we are, for each of those words, for each post, going through and getting the embedding for each of the words and then squanching them down. And then we're using spectral clustering, and I have done a couple of things here. Oops, that is not going to work. So one thing that we found last time was that if you use the default, which is, I think, not discretized, but like numeric, the clustering was very poor, but using discretized for assigning labels got much better results. And I also added a parameter for number of neighbors, saying that it should be the same as the number of clusters, because if you remember, the number of clusters is the square root of the number of posts, the floor of the square root of the number of posts. So I'm saying, hey, a priori, I think probably most of these clusters are roughly the same size. And that also gave me much more clusters that I thought were more useful, and also did get rid of the problem where we were generating empty clusters. So that was nice. And then we're fitting them using these document embeddings. And here I have a little summary of the number of items per cluster. And as you can see, this is not a uniform distribution. So I don't have any empty clusters, which is good. But cluster 0 here has 163 items here, and cluster 10 here has 85. My intuition is that there's internal structure there, and that these are sort of like... oh, if I had a whiteboard, that would be great right now. So my idea is that you have lots of like small localized clusters. Those are pretty easy to cluster. And then you have a large cluster that might have some internal structure within it, but it's sort of like off to the side a little bit and not as closely connected as the others. And so my assumption is that we can use hierarchical clustering for each of these in order to have more homogeneous clusters within them. Stas says, can you repeat the core intuition idea of clustering? And Zatron says, why is there no cluster 11? Okay, maybe there is one empty cluster, possibly. Because I think value counts will not return 0. Maybe someone who's more familiar with value counts will know. Hi, Rahul. And Ahmed and Jiang. Good morning. Good morning for me. No idea why there's no cluster 11. And then I have, because I added some additional information, yeah, there we go, I've expanded this, we can look at each of those clusters and with the information for the cluster and not just the words. I think I added this off screen. I'm having a hard time remembering what I did where. So this is our big old cluster with lots of information in it. And then we have some of the smaller ones that are a little bit help a little bit more homogeneous. So this one is just like, thanks a lot, thanks a lot, thanks a lot. Very useful, great kernel, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your kernel. Nice video, very helpful, neat, nice kernel, nice explanation. And these I think are pretty homogeneous. I'm happy with these clusters. And also, I think I tweeted about this, I'm really happy with the overall, like, just like, it's nice to have like a little quantifiable example of like, Kagglers are really polite, y'all. Stas says, my idea. So the basic idea is the more text you have, the more clusters you can expect in them, and the more posts per cluster. Is that realistic? I mean, if this were Reddit data, I wouldn't expect that. But because Kaggle forums, each post doesn't tend to sort of have a strong hierarchical structure within it, I think that that's all right. Thanks for sharing. Congrats, thanks for sharing. I would suggest you can do the following. What does it mean that the column is neutral? So these are sort of like helpful suggestions. Can we predict roulette numbers? Probably not above chance. Oh yeah, I remember. This is my forum post from yesterday. Someone was like, "Can we predict roulette numbers?" Which is interesting as an idea, and I see how you could get there, but roulette was developed as a random number generator by a statistician, so no is the answer there. And then somebody talking about some sort of intuition for the differences between random states. And Kuvis says, can we see cluster 11 now? We'll find out. Thanks for sharing. Did you mean to post this here? It is good. Good. You're welcome. Good to know it's useful. Adding features, train set, better to separate them, sharing the kernel, amazing, thank you much. So this looks to be more sort of like tutorial and notes on specific kernels. Oh, I should mention, part of the forum posts are comments on kernels. Those are included in this. Let's see, cluster 9, thanks. Cluster 10, you're welcome, got it. And this seems to be sort of like some spam that we should hopefully have gotten by now. What were we looking at, 11? Let's see if we can see it. Cluster 11, yeah, cluster 11's empty. So having a number of neighbors helped, but it didn't completely remove them. Thanks for the tips, thanks for it's useful. Let me know if you have any feedback. And we do have some other empty clusters as well at the end here, which I'm fine with. We can just drop them. All right, and we can also look at the keywords, but I think that that's less helpful. So, Stas says, would it not be more helpful to use some deep learning model on these posts? Nope. I talked about that a lot when we talked about scoping the project, so I would direct you to that video. Long story short, nah. Because of the nature of the problem and also the amount of data and compute it would take to get similar results. All right. So I also did a little bit with working on hierarchical clustering on my own. So here I've got that count of posts per cluster. Here I'm saying that the maximum expected cluster size is the number of clusters times 2. So if there are twice as many posts as we would expect in a single cluster, probably that one could do with some additional winnowing down. And if we look at, I know that this one's above this one. If we look at this, we can see that I think we had 16. So only these top 2 clusters are bigger than we'd expect. And these are the ones that I sort of looked at and was like, yeah, those ones look like they're pretty big. So this is something that I just sort of like fiddled with a bit to get to the point where it was a number I was happy with. And then I'm getting the clusters where you have the clusters are bigger than my allowed max cluster size. And this one is just doing the subclustering for one of them. So I'm going through and I'm getting all of the, so I'm getting the cluster label, and then I'm going through and getting sample posts that are, have that label, and then I'm getting the embeddings for those sample posts. And this is so that I can get the information for those posts, so I can get the same sort of output that I had here, and not just the words from the embedding. And here, again, I'm saying that I expect there to be a number of clusters equivalent to the square root of the number of posts. And then we can take a look. Oh, I think this has already been run, actually. And this is the same as it was previously, except we're using the subset of the data. Ryan says, I'm doing a thing at work with some clustering, and my problem now is the redundant clusters. Like here we have multiple thanks clusters, trying to find a way to consolidate. Yeah, that's does seem to be a problem for me as well. I'm hoping that, I think today we might do a little bit of visualization, because I think this sort of output here is fine, but it's still a lot of reading, and it's not easy to see sort of like top level metrics. And I'm wondering if, okay, tangent. One of, word embeddings to document distance, word movers distance. Okay. So Jacob Eisenstein, who some of you may know, he's an NLP, and actually just started at Google, and he sits right by me. I thought I saw him in the halls, and I was like, is that Jacob? Surely that's not Jacob. And then I walked by his desk, and it had a picture of his wife on it. I was like, okay, yeah, that's Jacob. I've deduced this from context clues. Anyway, he recommended word movers distance. So I'm wondering if this might be another helpful way of doing cluster disambiguation, or sort of cluster reducing down. So it's basically just sort of a distance in an embedding space. And I have read this paper in probably right after it came out, actually. So I think it might be helpful once we have the clusters to notice posts that have an especially close word movers distance. I don't know what the runtime is on this, though. And if we're doing like a lot of pairwise comparison, and that's a lot of permutations, that might end up being pretty slow. Anyway, so that's one thing that I'm thinking about to help improve the quality of the clusters. But I think the thing that might actually be more helpful at this point is to get to a better summarization / visualization. And my idea for this is word clouds. Anyway, so these are our sub clusters. And if we look at this, we see future pans, respect your passion, happy learning, pretty good course. So this seems to be mostly about learning. And this one that's just bug, helpful. So that looks like a pretty good cluster. This one is about learning and thanks. Glad you like it. Glad it could help. That seems like a pretty good cluster. These are all from a bunch of different things. It looks... people are talking about trouble. Thanks for sharing. This one doesn't look to be super, super homogeneous. Helpful, learned about it from your kernel, that's pretty homogeneous. Thanks, that's pretty homogeneous. Trying to fork and run this kernel. When you save the model, do you run the first cell? So this seems to be more about like running kernels and questions with that. So these, and I hadn't run it on today's data, but I did run these yesterday, and they also looked pretty good to me then. So I think I'm pretty happy with this as an approach. What is it that made the big cluster so big and sort of like above it in a hierarchical structure to begin with? Something. I think it's probably the degree of not only homogeneity, but also sort of like removal of the other clusters. So I think it's just sort of like the other clusters were low-hanging fruit, and this is slightly higher hanging fruit. And the hierarchical clustering is me getting my fruit picking ladder, or like, I don't know if you guys have ever picked fruit, but they got like little baskets. They sort of look like a crab trap on a stick, and you sort of go bloop. Anyway, it's been a while since I've gone fruit picking. And this looks like to be pretty learn focused. So yeah, that's the general idea. And I think that I still end up with 1 or 2 clusters that are pretty big. So let's actually just quickly check that out because I didn't actually do that. And I believe it was called subclustering. Subcluster. Yeah, we still end up with 1 pretty big and then a lot of smaller ones, but I mean, shrug. Okay, and I mean, there are going to be a lot of posts that fall under miscellaneous, right? So there'll be a lot of posts. I expect this, having read the forums, where someone's like, hey, I need a specific data set. And maybe it doesn't exist, so no one's like, hey, I have that. So I would expect that to sort of be by itself, especially if no one else is requesting a specific data set in that same time period. Yeah. Basically, if it saves me time in terms of looking over the forum posts, I think that's still helpful. All right. We were talking about maybe doing... Another thing to think about is we are not actually clustering on all the words. We are only clustering on the keywords. So that's also something to take into account. But let's try some visualization. I think this might be a helpful way of evaluating clusters, and that we should probably do this before we keep going, I think. So, sorry, bait and switch, I didn't actually live code any of the hierarchical clustering. I did that off camera. Surprisingly, I write Python much faster when I'm not trying to talk at the same time. All right, Python word cloud. That's what I want. Nope, I prefer not that from data camp. A little word cloud generator in Python, tested on a bunch of things. That sounds good to me. Because I think Kaggle's on 3.6 Python, 3.5 in there. All right, Linux failed. And I think this might actually already be, oh, this is based on a picture of a parrot. I think this might actually already be installed in kernel. This is what I was going to say. I do want simple.py. That sounds excellent. All right. That looks pretty straightforward. Do I need both OS and path here? So I'm just looking at the imports and trying to figure out if I need all of that. I don't actually see anything from OS, so I think I'm good to just start with this. All right. So, yes, we are not doing this. And for the text, let's say that it is... the first subcluster here. No, scroll. Okay, actually, if this could go away now, I don't want to scroll into that anymore. Shoo. So I think we could probably do this just to get the specific code that we're looking at. So getting the post info. Yes, that works. So this is from the cluster labeled 0, using the subsample data, which is this, and then using the subcluster. So these are the 100 posts. That doesn't look like 100. Was it 100 that was the big one? Which one was the big one? 7. 7 was the big one. Okay, so let's do 7. So these are the 100 posts from that big cluster, except I deleted my comma. You can see here, and I think from here I can just take the whole message. All right. I think I can take all of this and just concatenate it into a single text. Yeah. Ryan says, you showed us scatter text a while ago. That one looks good. I do like scatter text. I believe that it's one of those ones that relies on the render HTML widget that is, I think, still broken in base Jupyter. We can try it if the word clouds aren't working good for us. But the problem with that is that I believe it works in the editor, but sometimes it won't render in the, after you commit it, when you have like your file viewer. So we shall see. But yes, scatter text is very good. And I think the best way for me to share this information with the team would probably be in Jupyter Notebooks. I mean, we do a lot of our analysis and stuff in kernel, so. Dog food. Arf. Dog fooding is using your own product. It's coming from eating your own dog food, which I guess is not something humans usually do, but there's this story about someone who's like, you gotta eat your own dog food, so you know it's good. Business. What was I looking up? Pandas series 2 string. That was extremely straightforward. I also don't want the index. Default to true, so index equals false. I think I can do I do it this way? Was index uppercase? Lowercase. All right, nope, that doesn't work. You do it on the, I know that there's a way to do a syntax that is similar to this and sort of is like pipes, and nope, that one didn't work. All right. Do you have to do like a, that? Nope, that doesn't work. I know there is a way to do this, but I think it only works with some methods. And I know that there's a way to wrap a bunch of functions in pipes, but then I have to write the functions, and then it's not fast anymore. This is why I like R better for this type of work. All right, posts as string equals posts from cluster, and then I just want the message call, and then I'm going to turn it into a string, removing the indexed. And then I'm also going to spell posts as string better. P-O-S-T-S. Yeah, there we go. And then I think I should be able to just do that. Oh, right. Oh, okay, I think that's the only place where the text variable actually shows up, so I should be able to do it here. Ryan says it did work. It didn't work for .toString because you didn't do a slash for that line too. You have to do a slash at every. You have to do a slash at every line. Okay, so it would be slash slash dot message slash toString. Okay, I think that was helpful. And actually, I think that I don't want to readjust the font size. I think having big font for very common things is probably fine. Put all my imports up here. All right. Yeah, okay. So then what I would want to do is, no, not that. What did I do? Where's my mouse? I think I need more coffee. All right. Zitron said, wouldn't it be helpful if you do some data cleaning? I mean, a little bit, but because the data is going to change every day, the specific data cleaning that I need to do is going to be... Oh, I hit home. I figured out my problem. The specific data cleaning that I need to do is going to be a little bit different every day, and I want this to be as hands-off as possible in order to make my life easy, because that's the whole point of this project, is to make my life easy and my teammates' life easy. R-I-N... Oh, what do I got to do? I got to do, like, numerate? Oh, enumerate. No, range. For I in range, what was it called? Number of subclusters. Do I, and then I'm also going to get posts for given cluster. Zitron says maybe just the HTML tag. I should be removing HTML tags. That's a good point. And yet href is showing up. So let's see. Remove HTML tags. Sample post apply. Sample posts. Yeah. No, I should be removing HTML tags. Oh, I'm removing it from the sample posts, but not the sample post info. Okay. So the problem is that I'm removing it before we do the keyword extraction and the embedding. So it's not showing up in the embeddings, but it is showing up in the original posts. Okay. So sample post info. And hopefully I can reassign to, let's actually do this in a new window to make sure it works. Yeah, that is helpful. Good catch. Thank you, Zitron. So I think I can, was it an uppercase M? It was an uppercase M. Except instead of on sample post, we actually want sample post info dot message dot apply. Did that work? That did not work. Expected string or bytes light object. Message should be a string. So I don't know what the problem is there. And apply should be doing it to each of the things. Do I need to cast it as type before it goes directly in? Because I am casting it as type string here. And I've already run that cell, so that should be applied. Oops. Okay, for some reason I needed to recast it as a string. Weird. All right, there we go. And this one is a little long, so I'm gonna try this again. So I need to have that at the end of each, line before the dot. Dot apply. Oh, yep, that wouldn't work. A value is trying to set a copy on a slice from a data frame. Self-name equals value. Okay, I've done something weird in pandas. Oh, it's being applied to sample posts and not sample posts info? No, it's being applied to sample post info. Yeah. This is all the same. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I see what you mean. So this is... No? Oh, yes. Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay, so what I should do first is I should do sample post info.message equals. Can I reassign to a column? I think this is actually what I was having trouble with. I think it's worthwhile to do it before I apply the function. But thank you for pointing that out. Try remove string. Okay. Oh, it's just a warning. Excellent. Thank you for letting me know, Zitron. I am going to choose to ignore it. This may be a little bit of an R code smell. I'll live with that. Okay, so now we should get a bunch. Okay, so we created one plot. Oh, that's right, because of the way that plot objects works. You can't do multiple ones, I think. Jupyter, generate multiple matplotlib, plot same cell. That's the one. Make the multiple axes first and pass them into a pandas plot function like this. It will still give you one figure, but with two different plots next to each other. You can also use the show function after each plot. Will that work? Yes, that worked. Okay. Series. Oh, right. These are the empty ones. So let's get rid of the empty. Yeah. All right, first let's get rid of this cell. Let's try this with just the number of clusters. The big clusters instead of the littler clusters and see what we get. Name cluster not defined. Oh, right. What do we call it? Clustering is what we called it. Clustering. So this should be for the item wrong length 323 instead of 387. Post a string. Word cloud. Number of clusters. Sample post info. Clustering. What is this error? So the problem is with an array, remove HTML stuff. Okay, so it's in my function. Cluster.labels equals number, drop date, post date, access equals 1. I think the problem is that, excuse me, that I sneeze a lot. I think the problem is further up in the function I wrote. I think it's get post info by cluster. So let's go there. Yeah, no, I want the top one. There we go. Let's, for now, just get rid of this so that if we have either of those columns in our input, it will still show up. Okay, so we still have problems with this. Return cluster labels equals dot number. All right. Number data cluster dot labels equals a number. So I don't think I actually need to say what the, no, I do. So data cluster dot labels underscore equals numbers. This should work. So the problem is that our data and our cluster labels are not the same length, which is because clustering get post info by cluster, sample post info. Speaking of code smells, that's what it would be in R. So we're going to look at the head. Okay, so we definitely have something called message. ToString index equals true. Oh, I think I actually don't want the index. I think index should be false. Does that solve it? No, that doesn't solve it. Okay, how big are you? You are 307 long. Okay. Maybe I need to rerun my original cluster. Go away, I don't want to scroll through you a bunch. So let's try this. Number of clusters, doc embeddings. Okay, let's try rerunning that. Maybe that's the problem. 323. So in our sample posts, we have 307. So where are we getting the additional cluster items? So the problem is up here in the clustering section right here. This is the problem. So if we look at clustering.labels, we should see that we have 323. So where are the additional ones coming from? All right. What shape are the doc embeddings? That is, I didn't ask for the shape. I just asked for the thing. Okay. Okay, 323. Okay, so our document embeddings are too big. Oh, and Ryan said there's a little bit of delay. I would check if clustering is the same shape as sample post info. Yeah, I think we have, yeah, you're on the same wavelength. Ryan says might be from the doc embeddings too. Yes, we're going down into it. Okay, 300. Doc embedding post from keywords. Keyword sets I. Num of posts. So what is num of posts? Yeah, that's right. I just want the number. Number of posts is 307. So where are the extra ones coming from? So this should be... Okay, so for I in 0 through 299, because we count from 0 in Python for some reason, documenting from post keyword sets. So how many keyword sets are there? This one's a function and not an attribute for some reason. 323. All right. The problem is in the keyword sets. Let's figure this out. For posts in keyword tokenized. All right. Let's look at how big that one is. Dot shape. Where am I introducing extra stuff? All right. That's right. It's a list. How long is the list? 323. Okay. How long is just keywords? 323. Okay. How big are sample posts? $307. Okay, so it is in getting the keywords that we are introducing extra Interesting. All right. Is this one of our functions or is this from the package? This is from the package, I think. Maybe. All right. Vectors from post, docs from keyword, close from keyword set by cluster. Yeah. Okay. So these are from the original package. So what are some of our other options in here? That's a lot of things. I think that's too many. Let's see. Yake keywords underscore yake. Docs, that sounds good. Oh no, that's not for humans, that docs. Ryan says, I'm pretty sure it's the difference between sample posts and sample posts info, but sample posts is the right length. This also might be happening after the after I've said that. Rerun all the cells, question mark? Yeah, we can definitely do that. Let's just run all while we look for what the thing is. Oh, I was wrong. Yake does have a paper. Actually, Yake has 2 papers, it looks like. Yeah, okay, Yake actually has 2 papers, so I guess we could have read those papers as well. Server container, how to use commands using Python text keyword extractor, extract keywords. Yake keyword extractor, output, data science, Dockers. Actually, I think we did write this function. I think we have imported this function. Oh, are you still running? Yeah, that's definitely still running. Oh, I thought you used to... Oh, maybe it just stopped. I thought you used to be able to see like a little running symbol here if it was still going. Okay. Oh, this time it worked. Oh, it might have been because I was futzing around with reassigning the thing. This is the spam cluster. I think we got that. Hi, thanks, thank, wrote, sharing, good info, thank, good, thanks, good, thank, work, nice, thanks, Kaggle, cool kernel, thank, nice. Roulette, probably, predict, support numbers following. Thank, sharing, wow, nice, helpful video found, thank, good, lots, I wonder if we want to just like get rid of all the thanks, good work, nice work type of kernels. Oh, sorry, sort of form posts. Sorry, I'm thinking about that was riveting television. I was thinking about, do we want to do some sort of frequency-based filter where we know overall the frequency of words on the Kaggle forum, and then we only include them in our visualizations if they are... I don't know, because I do want to know that people are saying thank you, though, is the thing. Except it's just not very good or helpful or useful here. I think I'm just going to write a quick function to remove the thanks. Good, nice, and thank, and all of its things, I think should be helpful. Remove good, nice, thank. Oops. RE replace text. Star replace. There we go. Okay. Re.sub. Re.sub. All right. First, we should probably do text to lower so we don't have to write as big of a regex. All right, so this is a good one to work on. Post as string. I think it's too lower. Is it an attribute? No, I think it's a function. Nope. Is it maybe as lower? That didn't work. Python to lowercase. Thank you. Lower built in. I was close. Lower not defined. You said it was a built-in. Is it in a... Oh, string. It is an attribute. Okay. Lower. Okay. Excellent. Except we didn't do that. Oh, my God. There we go. All right. And then I think actually re.sub... nice with nothing, and I think it needs to be given the string next. Yeah, excellent. Bank space. And then what was the next one we wanted? Nice, thanks, and good. Is this the best way to do stop word removal? No, absolutely it is not. You should absolutely do this in a better way. But this is going to be quick and dirty just to see how it works. All right. At least I'm doing it in a function, right? I'm pretty sure there's an NLTK method for removing custom soft words where you just passed in an array. There's probably a nicer way to pipe these together as well. But you know what? This is what we're getting today, because I've got 1 minute. Make it work and then make it good, right? All right, and then posts as string, and then we want to add equals remove, thanks, posts as string. Okay. No, a mistake. Oh, right, I returned nothing. Return text. Yeah, okay, that's helpful. That's not right. That should have been caught by my regex. Oh, is it not a regex because it's not in, huh? Yeah. That looked better. Except it was, I have made some errors, okay? Something ain't right here. Oh God, what's the syntax for capture group? Capture group, Python RE. expressions. No, I just want to see a little sample. Set of characters in a set, not what I want. Whatever regular expression is inside the parentheses. There we go. All right. Okay, that should be much more readable. So what this is doing is it's going through and it's removing thank, followed by any number of characters, any number of any characters, until you hit a space. So if you say thankfully, thanks, thanking, thank, whatever, it'll remove all of those and it'll replace it with a single space. Yeah, that's much better. It should have gotten thanks, though. Vijay says you can simply use the string.replace attribute instead of regex. I like regex. And Zatron says use re.compile all regex. Okay, that's helpful. I don't know. I don't think it's an old-fashioned thing. I think still people still do it, but I'm of the NLP sort of generation where we started with Perl, gosh darn it, or at least the regex is from Perl, not completely in Perl. Although there are people out there teaching intro NLP in Perl because they are familiar with the language and believe that it's a good tool, and it is very fast. Absolutely, it's very fast. I would not call it user-friendly. Okay, so we've got some... We've got some things here. Yeah, these aren't very informative, huh? These are not super helpful. Yeah, I'm wondering if it might be better for us to... Well, let me take some notes. And I know it's time, and I do have so much stuff I need to do today. So many things I need to do today. Wowzer bowser. So some things that might be helpful for... Nope. Mark down. Get rid of you. Might be helpful for us going forward. And I might do some of these off camera, although probably not next week because we're doing the BQML event. If you haven't signed up yet, you still have time. I think if you just search for... Kaggle SQL Summer Camp. Yeah, it's kaggle.com/SQL Summer Camp. You can sign up. We're going to be talking about BQML, which is it's a really lightweight, fast way to train models directly in your database, so you don't have to handle, EDL and getting your data and putting your data somewhere else and then training your model and then sending your model back to the database. It all just happens in the database. So that's nice. But going forward, some things to do. Biggest problem, redundant clusters. Yeah, so possible solutions. I think I need a space after here for this to render well. Possible solutions, remove very short posts. Don't include posts on kernels, because just looking through it looks like posts on kernels tend to be like, great work, nice, thanks. Build thanks. Build filter for removing short thanks type posts. Another thing we could do is we could start with a sentiment analysis and put all very high sentiment posts in a single bin. Because I'm imagining like, great work, thanks, good job. Those are probably all going to be very high sentiment. So we could use sentiment analysis as sort of a filter for those and have like its own little, like the happy box. You're like, oh, look, things are going great. That's not super relevant to me right now, but I'm happy to see that it's there. Yeah, so lots of things to do. I'll get rid of this now from my trying to figure out what was going on. Yeah, lots of things that we still have to work on. And we're getting there. We are getting there. We're getting like useful clusters out, which is nice because, we've been working on this project for a while and we're at the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, it's starting to feel like we could get there at some point. So I'm going to call it a day for here. I got so much other stuff to do, and I will see you all on Wednesday. No reading group because we're going to learn how to do BQML, which I hope you guys are looking forward to. And I will talk to you then. Or next Friday when we're going to keep continuing on this project. Maybe we'll do the sentiment analysis next Friday because that's something that I've been talking about with regards to other stuff in general. So that might work. All right. Citron says maybe other embeddings. Yeah. Although, like, I'm fine with these. Like, they don't bother me. They seem to work okay. So, the one embedding that I think could be helpful, because the big bottleneck here is getting the first off, the keyword extraction is a bit of a bottleneck, but I think that it pays off in terms of having fewer words to look at further down. The other big bottleneck is getting the embeddings for the specific posts. So using universal sentence embeddings where you don't have to get the embeddings for the words and then concatenate them or average them, but instead you get the direct embedding for each sort of like text on its own might be helpful. And it might be faster, but the problem is it's in TensorFlow, so we would have to deal with like the way that TensorFlow handles data, and wow, do I not want to do that. Like, it's fine. TensorFlow is fine. It's just a lot of sort of different mental model from what I'm used to, so. All right, calling it a day. Have a great weekend, you guys, and I will see you all on Wednesday/Friday. I'll talk to you then. Bye.